And welcome back to Hannity. So earlier today, I sat down with the presumptive Republican nominee, Donald Trump. I asked him about the Orlando terror attack, the president's inability to say radical Islamic terrorism, and what needs to be done to better protect Americans from the growing threat of radical Islam. Watch this. Mr. Trump, thanks for being with us. Obviously, the worst attack on our homeland since 9/11. I want to ask you a couple of things. The FBI actually is looking into 1,000 people all across the 50 states that are ISIS-related. Those are the investigations that are going on now. But the FBI knew this guy claimed at work that he was connected to al-Qaeda and Hezbollah, reports he cheered after 9/11, and they looked into him for 10 months. He got free. How do we fix that?
Well, they had a bad day. I'm a big fan of the FBI, and things can happen, and I guess they didn't have anything concrete on them, and you can understand it. But we have to really increase our intelligence gathering in this country. We have people in this country that are just as bad as him, worse than him.
Right.
And they're plotting things right now, and we're letting more in. Hillary Clinton's letting everybody in. She has a 550% increase over Obama. She wants to let that many more people in from Syria and from various places. Now, I just think it's insane, because we don't know what's going on. We have no control over it. But you have people right now showing worse, in my opinion, worse and maybe with bigger minds than this savage that just got killed. I mean, the concept of allowing more people in when you know that many of them are going to have problems and going to cause trouble is incredible.
When you call for a temporary ban on refugees, people coming from countries, I'm sure you know that the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, the FBI Director Comey, the Assistant FBI Director Steinbeck, the House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Mike McCall, Obama's former Special Envoy to defeat ISIS, General Allen, they all said, and ISIS has said, that they will infiltrate the refugee population. Now, the President insists we take these people in. Hillary's all for it. To me, that's gambling with people's lives, the American people's lives. Why would they ever risk that?
Sean, on the migration, on the line, the big line with thousands and tens of thousands and even millions of people, you had people with cell phones with the ISIS flag on them, okay? Number one, how did they get cell phones? Number two, why are there so many men, young, strong men, but they've got cell phones with an ISIS flag on them, many of them, and the press doesn't want to report it? I mean, what are we doing?
It happens.
There's no common sense. There's no strength. There's no common sense. Look at what's going on in Germany. It's a mess. It's a total mess. People living in Germany want to leave.
Yeah. ISIS infiltrated in Paris. We saw the result. ISIS infiltrated in Belgium. We saw the result. Our own intelligence officials are warning us that ISIS will infiltrate here, and ISIS has said they'll infiltrate here. So my question is, it seems that the narrative's gotten off base. I think the question has now become, why was the President and Hillary Clinton willing to gamble with the lives of the American people? Because to me, that is an unnecessary risk. Do you think the country miscalculated as it relates to the danger?
Well, totally miscalculated, but it's not even a miscalculation. It's common sense. You're letting people in from Syria. They have no documentation. We don't know where they come from, really. This could be the all-time great Trojan horse. We'll bring the Trojan horse out of retirement. This could be the all-time great Trojan horse. We're allowing these people. And Hillary Clinton wants many more to come in. Obama's got a certain number. She wants to increase it by 550%. Is this insanity or what? Now, I don't think it's going to work. I think the people are too smart. The press covers my stuff. Whatever I say, they cover totally inaccurately. That's why I like to do live television, actually, because I get covered totally inaccurately. If I say something, they make it sound like, you know, totally different.
We've never edited you. We don't edit you.
No, you're great, and I appreciate that. Yeah. And I love shows that don't edit, but I like live television, because on live television you say what you have to say. But I just took away the press credentials of the Washington Post. I mean, they made the statement that I said that essentially Obama went in and shot the people. I mean, what they do, that is the most dishonest paper. But there are so many dishonest papers. Washington Post is a joke. Okay, it's
well, the New York Times. But that boomerang back in your favor, because the women mentioned in the article, they all came out for Trump.
Those women were so incredible. I'd like to give them medals. They deserve it. They write an article like I was bad to these women. They all came back and said, we really like Donald. He was great. He was a great guy. I mean, you're talking about many years ago. It was such a false article. And yet, a week later, the same guy, the same writer, who's a real sleaze, but the same writer wrote another story on something else, highly inaccurately. So, you know, you really have to get the word out yourself, because the press is really dishonest. I don't mean like they made a mistake or they didn't quite cover it wrong. They are so dishonest. You can make a speech, a perfect speech, everything said perfectly, and they will try and find things that may be this or maybe that. So, I mean, I hope the people and I hope the voters know what's going on in this country.
Let me move to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation, and I want to go through some things with you.
Go ahead.
She took up to $25 million from Saudi Arabia. She took up to $5 million from the government of Brunei and Qatar and Oman and the UAE. I want to talk about their rights. In the three cases of Saudi Arabia, Brunei, and Qatar, they actually allow the assassination or the execution of gays and lesbians.
Right. That's right.
In Saudi Arabia, women can't drive, they can't vote, they can't go out in public without a male's permission. They're told what to wear. They have a morality police, 4 male eyewitnesses for rape under Sharia. And my question to you is, she never until yesterday criticized these countries. She never until yesterday said radical Islam.
And that's because
she was
of
shamed
the pressure.
into it.
That's because, yeah, she was shamed into it by me. And that's because of the pressure I put on her. But here's a woman that takes all of this money from these countries, and then she says she loves women, and she's totally with the gays and the, you know, the whatever group you might talk about, the gay, lesbian. Now, let me just tell you, Sean, how can she be? They want to kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. They actually throw gays off buildings, and she's taking money. And I'm calling for her to give back all of the money she's taken from these countries, okay? I'm much better for women than she is. I'm much better for gays.
What does that say, though? Until yesterday, she got all of these millions of dollars from these countries, and she never criticized their policies, their abusive policies to women, minorities, gays. They're a country that does not allow the free practice of religion. There are no temples. There are no churches. There's no Christianity in these countries. But she takes their money. Did they buy her silence?
$25 million from one. Look, they bought her off. She's paid off, politicians. But she's paid off, 100% paid off. And until we brought this up, and I brought it up, and then she talks about women, well, let me tell you, I'm much better for women than Hillary Clinton will ever be.
Here's a big, broader question. If you grow up under Sharia law, and as a man you think you have the right to tell a woman how to dress, whether she can drive a car, whether she can go to school, or whether she can go to work, and she would need 4 male eyewitnesses for rape. In some cases, they don't even believe in marital rape. So the question is, if you grow up there and you want to come to America, how do we vet somebody's heart and ascertain if they're coming here for freedom or if they want to proselytize, indoctrinate, and bring their theocracy with them?
Assimilation has been very hard. It's almost, I won't say non-existent, but it gets to be pretty close. And I'm talking about second and third generation. They don't, for some reason, there's no real assimilation.
Right.
And you see it all over the place. And, you know, what are we going to do? I'm not even talking about assimilation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there is a percentage of people that want to do what this maniac did in Orlando. There's a percentage of people. That percentage becomes, the number of people become more and more as we take in thousands and thousands of more people. There's a hate that's going on that's unbelievable, okay? Unbelievable. They don't mind dying. There's a hate that's going on that's unbelievable, and we allow it to happen. They use the internet better than we do. ISIS is using the internet better than we do.
Why can't the president and Hillary Clinton utter the words radical Islamic terrorism?
Well, they can, but they choose not to. And a lot of people don't understand why. Personally, it doesn't, I mean, whatever the reason is, they can't say it. Now, she said something yesterday, you know, because of me, I'm forcing her into this position.
Shamed. I would say she was shamed into it.
Well, she was shamed into it, but she didn't really say the words. And she said, I would be willing to use those words, but she didn't do it. So look,
6 months ago, she said she wouldn't use them.
Sean, Hillary Clinton, especially in these times, will be a terrible president. Her Secret Service agent said she's a disaster. She's a total disaster. And she doesn't have the temperament. She talks about my temperament. My temperament is great. It's a tough temperament, but that's what we need. Her temperament, she's wacky. I mean, she's wacky.
I have one last question. 4 big issues in light of what happened with this terrorist attack in Orlando. Energy independence, I think, is a big part. Countries we have been dependent on that hate our guts. Homeland security, I think certainly the issue of our defense, our intelligence capabilities. There's such big differences. The economy's bad. How big is this issue versus the economy? These are massive challenges.
Well, it's turning out I'm doing very well on the economy in the polls. I'm leading on the economy by far. I'll produce jobs. I'm going to bring jobs back. I'm not going to let countries take our businesses. There is going to be consequences when they do. Believe me, they're not taking our businesses to the extent, and we're going to take their businesses. Businesses are going to come back into our country. So we're going to take care of that and the economy. But on any form of energy, we have so much energy right now under our own ground that modern techniques have found. So we don't need the Middle East like we
don't need them at all.
We needed it so badly years ago. But we're protecting Saudi Arabia. We're spending $4 trillion, maybe $5 trillion total in the Middle East over the last 15 years. Could be more than that. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's a mess. Our airports are no good. Our roads are no good. They're falling apart. I was with somebody the other day, one of the biggest trucking companies. He said, Mr. Trump, we can't even drive on the roads anymore. They're so bad. They're ruining their trucks. They're hitting massive potholes, and they're really ruining it. So we have a lot of issues, but the economy is a biggie. But what's happened now with the attack, and there'll be others, because we don't have the vigilance. And the Muslims are not turning in. If you look at what's going on, they're not turning people in. Borders,
Refugees, certainly the issue of energy independence and intelligence, huge differences. I know that the president and Hillary Clinton have made this issue about guns. But here's the interesting thing. When Mohammed Morsi, the former Muslim Brotherhood head, referred to the Israelis as descendants of apes and pigs, Obama and Hillary Clinton gave him F-16s, tanks, and $1 billion US. So if they're really concerned about weaponry in the hands of radicals, why would they give him all of that equipment?
Because I think that Obama treats others far better than he treats Israel. He treats Israel so badly. I have many Jewish friends, and they raise money for him, and they raise money for the Democrats. I say, what are you people doing? Why would you do this? That Iran deal was the end of it. That is the worst thing. Perhaps will go down as the worst thing that's ever happened.
Hillary was a part of that, too.
Hillary, of course, she was a part of it.
The negotiation started then.
She was a part of it. She started. I mean, it was her, and then John Kerry took it over. It is the worst deal for them that I can imagine. So, look, we have a big election coming up. We have two very obvious choices, and there's one obvious one, and there's one obviously not so good, and I will tell you, I'll do a great job. So many of these issues, Sean, you look at energy, you look at borders, you look at the military. Our military is totally depleted. It's depleted. We're using jets where they have to get parts from used old planes. You look at all of these different things. Those are my issues. So we're going to see what happens. I mean, we're going to see what happens. What happened in Orlando is a disgrace. That should never, ever be allowed.
And preventable.
It's totally preventable. It's totally preventable.
Mr. Trump, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.